This video is for anybody who's ever seen one of my videos and been upset about it. If you've ever seen me, an ex-Mormon, make a video where I talk about my personal experiences in the Mormon church, things that I've learned about the Mormon church, my feelings and opinions and thoughts about the Mormon church. If you've seen those things and then thought to yourself or typed out in a comment that I'm a bad person for talking about it. Most of the time, I'm really, truly not asking for your input, but this time I am. A lot of people get mad at me in the comments whenever I make a video about the church, which is pretty often. And I just want to know if you're one of those people. Do you think that there is a way in which I could make videos that wouldn't upset you? That I could be honest about my feelings and share my experiences, and yet you would think that it's still respectful and positive? Because from my perspective, while I did have some positive experiences in the church, the experience as a whole, 25 years as a member of the church, the whole thing together was negative, especially when I found out more information that I feel the church purposely kept from me. When I started getting curious, when I started learning more, when I started doing research, when I learned more about what makes a cult, all of those things combined with negative experiences I'd had while a member, it makes the whole thing a net negative. So when I make a video where I talk about my negative experiences in the church, or when I share things I've learned about the church that are bad, you're gonna watch that video and think to yourself, or write in the comments, wow, you're such a negative person. Why are you spreading negativity in the world like this? And I see your comment and I think to myself, well, because it's true. I'm talking reality here. If someone like me with the experiences that I have and the things that I've learned were to make videos that were just completely positive about the church, that would be fake. If I talked about my experiences going through the temple and how much fun I had, that would be lying. And now I can understand that from your perspective, you're watching somebody who you believe is under the influence of Satan, who has been led astray off of the path of happiness, and because they're, have this spirit of contention and the spirit of the devil with them, they are just spreading negativity and trying to drag other people away from Christ, because, misery loves company. And I'm in the great and spacious building, as it were, yelling at people who are holding onto the iron rod to let go and come join me. That's your perspective. But from my perspective, all of that's just a fantasy. To me, I have done the research, found out that the church is not, in fact, true, and all of that is made up. And I'm just a person, just a mom, just a girl who went through some tough things, learned some tough facts, and is now sharing my experiences with everybody else because I wish that somebody had told me about their experiences sooner. To me, both Jesus Christ and Satan are neither positive nor negative. They're just neutral because neither of them to me are playing a part in what I want to share with the world. A lot of people have accused me of being unable to leave the church alone, being hateful, negative, angry. And I will say that towards the beginning of my journey when I first left the church, I did feel a lot of anger because I felt that I'd been deceived. And having something really, really important to you and then finding out that this important thing was a lie, it brought up feelings that were not positive, starting with anger and turning to sadness. These days, I don't feel a lot of anger about it. It's more just, a feeling of it is what it is, and onward we go, right? And for me, part of that journey is sharing what I've learned, sharing my experiences, answering questions when people have them, and being honest about it, which I feel like is very important. So again, I ask you, do you feel like there is a way that I could honestly share my experiences, be forthcoming about it, answer questions, be factual, and yet not upset Mormons? Do it in a respectful way, do it in a non-negative way. And I ask, not because I want to have a gotcha moment. I ask because I'm genuinely curious if you feel like there is a space for ex-Mormons to honestly share their experiences and to create a community. Because I feel like Mormons do have a place and have a community where they can share all the positive things that they feel about their church and their beliefs. In fact, you go to church once a week, sometimes more than once a week, and you meet up with other Mormons and you talk about the church and you talk about the gospel and you talk about Jesus and Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and all the positive, happy things that you feel. And you have a huge community of millions of people where you can share that with on the internet in different places, Facebook groups, Reddit groups, videos, all kinds of stuff that Mormons have access to. And I think that that's great, and I'm super happy for you, and I'm glad that you have that. I also feel like, as an ex-Mormon, we deserve to have that same sense of community. We deserve to have somewhere that we can go and talk to people. And, it's not like we are going to a building together once a week to discuss, right? Like, most of us, the only way that we find out about other ex-Mormons is through the use of the internet. And I'm not saying that you have to agree with me. I'm not saying that you have to watch my videos. In fact, I'd rather you didn't. But I am saying that shouldn't I be able to, one, truthfully share my experiences, and two, build a community of like-minded people and share my experiences with the world, educate people who have questions from my perspective? And another question I have is, why do you feel like it is a negative, horrible, bad thing when I share my negative experiences with the church and my negative opinions about some of the things the church has done, but you don't feel like it's a negative, bad thing when your prophets or apostles get up to the pulpit and they say negative things about other churches, which they have done. Please don't try to say that they haven't. Why is one of those things wrong and not the other? To me, it comes across that you just don't like it when somebody doesn't like your religion. I don't think that's fair. And I think that applies to all sorts of things that people talk about on the internet. And people talk about everything, petty and huge, like all in between, all of that stuff. For me, this is a huge part of my life. Being a Mormon, living the gospel was my entire existence for 25 years. It means a lot to me. It's not something that I could just let go and never talk about again. But there are people who talk about awkward interactions they had at the grocery store and how they feel about that. There are people who critique restaurants. There are people who talk about going to a car dealership and how they didn't have a good experience there. And I do understand that for you as a Mormon, being a Mormon is like your entire identity. And I completely understand that because I felt the exact same way. So I understand. But I am trying to evoke a conversation here of try to see it from my perspective, because I remember exactly what it feels like from yours. But I never had anybody talk to me about that. I didn't really have any ex-Mormon friends. And if I did, we didn't really talk about the church because we didn't get along on that aspect. But I think that it's better if we are able to talk about these things, if we're able to have open communication. From my perspective, I feel like I should be able to talk about my own life experiences and my opinions and share those things. And I'm from my perspective, I'm not doing it in a hateful way. I'm just trying to share my story. So in your mind, and obviously I'm not asking the crazies because I got some crazy ass people in my comments sometimes, but I know that there's some people who are more willing to have an open and honest conversation. I'm seeking out those people. From your perspective, is there a fair way that I can talk about the church, that I can talk about my experiences in it and everything in between that is okay? Because to me, if you don't like my content, you don't agree with it, and you don't want to see it, you just simply don't have to watch it. I know that for myself, I wouldn't agree with Mormon content, so I don't watch it. If it came up, I would scroll past it. I would move on with my life. Why can you not do that? Again, I'm honestly just seeking your perspective. Let me know what you think. What am I doing wrong? What could I do differently? And be fair about it. And let's see where it gets us.